I'm not sure that I've ever met a person who was not influenced by someone if they themselves made a dramatic change in their own lives. We just don't change by ourselves. We must have prototype persons and people who set examples and people who are brought to us by an infinite intelligence, even when we don't believe in that infinite presence, but who will say the things to us that we need to hear. And our guest tonight is one of those people. I never knew Mr. Stone personally until just a few years ago, but I've known him for 31 years, closely. And he touched my life, just like he touched Og Mandino's life, by the example that he had set. He is our honored guest this evening, and in a short time he will be your speaker and mine. Now, let me pause just a moment and tell you that a few weeks ago here, I was introduced to a man, and the moment I saw him, I saw the magnificence of this person. I had never known of him, ever. And I met him, and I met my brother. Did you ever have that experience? And I saw how grand he was, how real he was. Met him right here on this platform. Some of you were here when I met Jackie Vaughn, a senator, the state of Michigan. Jackie, you have something special that you want to present to a special person tonight. Would you come up and join me here on the platform? This man is my brother.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you very much. That's your fault.
Jackie, let me hand you this microphone.
You think we're going to need it?
We will need it. There are lots of people in the other room.
You said you've done something to my life. I'm a lawmaker from Lansing, our state capital. You've enriched my life. Well, at least this is better than the telephone. I want to say how pleased I am to share this evening, and we've come to share it with a legend, a person that we've read about. We've never met him in person, and we're grateful to all of you for this vast education in terms of meet a man who has done so much. We're told that to teach is to touch a human life forever. I feel that spirit with you, and you're permitting me to share this. And then I discovered something today. I think this is what Mrs. Stone's life is all about. To open a book is to enter the mind of another person. And I'm waiting with all kinds of excitement just to listen and to see this great man. I'd like to, with your permission, present a surprise to Mrs. Stone. In the Michigan legislature, we passed the Michigan Senate, a concurrent resolution, Mr. Stone, and now you are part of that body. History forever. Not that you need it, but we wanted to recognize this community, these people, them sharing all of that with us. You know Mr. Stone's life. We claim him because he attended Northwestern High School. I'd like to present to Mrs. Stone the highest recognition that we can give any citizen. We passed this by 38 men and women, and the House with 110 men and women. They have quantity, we have quality. And so I want to give you this recognition because you deserve it because of what your life has meant. Philip Brooks had something really profound to say. He said these words: "No man or woman can really be strong, gentle, or pure, and good without the world being better for it." That's your life, Mrs. Stone, because you have given all of us so much. And I'm excited about the fact that I can represent the Michigan Senate, the Michigan House, and present you with this concurrent resolution. I do this on behalf of 10 million people in our state. I came to sit, listen, and learn, and I'm very pleased to present the Senate concurrent resolution to you, Mrs. Stone, and say a simple wish is that you will continue to serve all of us as you have in the past and make this world richer for having known you. It is in that spirit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jack, that's the extra. You get two, an extra one.
Very good.
Thank you. Sorry about that. No, it takes too much time.
Wasn't that a special moment? Aren't you glad you were here? I was in Texas recently when Mr. Stone received an honor like this. And the person who was giving the honor had the same problem that you did, Jackie, and that was how to say in just a few words, how to tell of the grand things that this man has done in his life. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you how he has lived and continues to live, to share himself with the world, to share these principles with the world, to cause the world to be a better place. When he read, and I won't dare to tell his story, when he read The Magnificent Obsession, it came to him that he also had a magnificent obsession, and that was to leave the world a better place than he had found it. And he is doing that. He's causing hundreds of thousands of men and women and boys and girls to be able to believe that they too can and to make that same commitment in their own lives. One of Mr. Stone's experiences that really touched me was that when he was 12 years old, he was staying in a rural area on a farm here in Michigan, and at that time he came in contact with Horatio Alger's books, and they really impressed him. And he decided that he was the hero in the Horatio Alger stories. He took on that mantle of consciousness and became all of the qualities that he read in Horatio Alger's books. And also, one of the things that Mr. Stone decided was that he would marry the most beautiful, the most loving, the kindest, the most creative woman in the world, the one who had been especially created for him. And so, even at that young age, he set out believing that, and would you believe what happened? He married Jessie. Mrs. Stone is right there. Now, in the years that I have known Mr. and Mrs. Stone, one of the most touching experiences of my whole life has been to observe, to be a party to the love, respect that they share with each other. It is a glorious thing. They hold hands. he is always at her side. He is always caring for his beloved Jessie. Has always done so. But Mr. Stone does not just limit his caring to his beloved Jessie or to his family. It's to all the people that he knows. Not just to the people that work with him and around him in his companies, but to everyone. He is one of the busiest men that I've ever known. He still is. Dale Holt flew over to Chicago today in his Learjet for us to pick up Mr. Stone and his group. And we had wanted them to leave at 2 o'clock to have a little relaxed time on this end, but they could not leave until 2:30. That was the earliest Mr. Stone could get away. And we're flying them back this evening so that he can be ready for a full day tomorrow. Exciting life. A wonderful life. Glorious man. It's with a great deal of love and affection, appreciation, that I present to you W. Clement Stone.
No. I feel very humble with all the wonderful things that have been said tonight, because every word is so true. I always like to check an audience to see whether they're full of vim and life and vigor. And I do it by asking a question, to which there's only one answer. The question is, how is your PMA? PMA stands for Positive Mental Attitude. There's only one answer. The answer is terrific. Can you remember that? Let's try it. How is your PMA? Terrific. Lady in the back row over there didn't say a word, so I'll get up, stand up, so we got into it. Okay, a little enthusiasm. How is your PMA? Terrific. That's good, so keep standing. When Mrs. Stone and I and my son Norman landed in the territory of Hawaii many years ago, at the end of a trip around the Pacific representing the International Sales Executives Club, there were 7 of us on the team. My subject is consumerism the answer to communism? That was the subject, rather, of the entire 7 of us, and mine was on motivation. When we landed in the territory of Hawaii, our last stop, I fell in love with the island, and we entered our company, Combined Insurance Company of America, hired Jerry Assam, a native. Jerry read our books, and when Jerry would shave in the morning, he would say to himself, I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel terrific. And when he would meet his good friend on the street of Honolulu and say, aloha, how do you feel? He'd say, I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel terrific. Now, this is just a test of your memory as to whether or not you can remember those few words. So I'm going to repeat it, because I'm going to ask you the question. I feel healthy, don't repeat yet. I feel happy, I feel terrific. I'll repeat again. Now, the reason for that is the subconscious mind, your human computer, works by repetition, repetition, repetition. So I'll repeat again. I'll ask how you feel, and you'll respond, I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel terrific. Just so I'm sure you have it, I'm going to try it again. I'll ask you the question, and your response is, I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel terrific. Let's try it. How do you feel? I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel terrific. Now that you know the words, let's get some enthusiasm. How do you feel? I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel terrific. You didn't say a word. You're holding this up. Let's try it again. He's holding us up. Okay, how do you feel? I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. And you do, so you can be seated. This is an important day in your life. It's an important day in my life. It's an important day in your life if you're ready and if you're willing to listen. In the English language, there's no true synonym. To hear does not necessarily apply attention or application, but to listen always does. And when I use the word symbol listen, it's my intent to motivate each and every one of you here who is ready to action. Action is the key word. I believe I'll start with a little biography because many persons ask me, why do you work the hours you do? Why are you involved in so many organizations throughout the world? Why do you try to make more millions? So I'll give you the answer shortly. I was born in poverty. I know what poverty is. I know a boy can be happy if he has a place to sleep, 3 meals a day, and is fortunate to have a loving parent or two who loves him well enough to see that he has a religious, moral, ethical training in his career. My father died when I was very young. My mother was a dressmaker. We lived on the rough, tough south side of Chicago. We lived with relatives, Uncle Ole and Aunt Kitty, on the 3rd floor of an apartment. They worked in a restaurant, waiting on table, and in those days, salaries were very low. Yes, with my mother working, Aunt Kitty and Uncle Ole working, I was pretty much to myself. There were, even in those days, latchkey kids. At age 6, I wanted to earn some money because I didn't want to ask my mother for it. So I borrowed it and decided to sell newspapers. Those days we had to pay for our papers in advance. They couldn't be returned. So I went down to 31st and Cottage Grove, which was a very, very busy thoroughfare in those days. There were 2 teenagers yelling out the news. And I copied them, yelled out as loudly as I could. They shouted, "Get the hell out of here!" And I refused. So they beat me up. I was humiliated. I cried. I couldn't return the papers. I couldn't even read them. So I walked north on Cottage Grove until I came to Helly's Restaurant, which was a very, very quality, fine restaurant. Walked in and sold 3 papers. Mr. Helly kindly pushed me out the door. I figured that was better than being beaten up. So I came back in. I sold some additional papers, and this time Mr. Helly pushed me out harder. I figured that was better than being beaten up. So I went back in, and a customer liked my gumption, gave me a dime tip. Mr. Helly really firmly pushed me out this time. I figured, well, that's better than being beaten up. So I go back in. And a customer said, Helly, let him alone. So he did. So I sold out. The next day I came back with twice as many papers. I go in, start selling, and this time Mr. Helly really firmly and roughly pushed me out the door. Figured that's better than being beat up. So I always waited until he was away from the door back near the kitchen, and I came back in. I can picture him now. He raised his arms and said, oh, what's the use? We became great friends. This good man, I'll never forget him, how he helped a widowed mother and a kid that was trying to earn some money and refused to give up. He would, on a Sunday, drive his 6-year-old daughter, Dorothy, and me to places where poor kids would never have an opportunity in that neighborhood, as a rule, to see. Wonderful places of interest, and I think of him with beautiful thoughts very, very frequently. I went to a public school. First, I'll point out that at the end of the day, my mother would ask me what I did, and I'd try to truthfully tell her. She wanted to know what was good, what wasn't so good. And then we'd kneel down and pray, and she prayed for the guidance of her son. And Mother had a lot to pray for. Even though, like most mothers, she felt her son was a good boy because he went to church every Sunday, went to confession once a week, didn't get involved with a gang, and we had them in those days, kept other boys from stealing. But as I said, she had a lot to pray for. I smoked cigarettes. We didn't have the paper or the tobacco. I'd use coffee grounds, roll them, you know. Played hooky, school. Didn't bother with homework. And so she prayed for guidance, and the good Lord answered. There's always an intelligent solution to any problem. And this was her solution, which proved to be an intelligent solution. She sent me to a parochial school, the Nauvoo Institute in Illinois, Nauvoo, Illinois. And where can a person learn the virtues better than from those who are devoting their lives to purify their own souls by teaching others, especially young, to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Every letter I'd write home, or every time I'd visit home, I would try to plead with Mother to take me back home. And after 2 years, she was ready, and I was ready. At Dillon's, She moved forward step by step. She was in charge of each department and eventually operated the business. Each promotion, her salary would be increased, but she sacrificed because she had a goal. That goal was to have her own dressmaking establishment. After 2 years, she did. We moved to a nice neighborhood, had a lovely apartment, and she had her dressmaking establishment, as was customary in many parts of the country and still today is customary in parts of Europe, right in our own home. Now, the school I went to was about 6 blocks away, public school. No one, absolutely no one, and this is hard to believe at this point, ever taught me why I should get high grades. Why I would benefit by any particular specific subject was being taught. I was told that C was passing. So, being lazy, I guess, in math, I decided not to do any homework. Because at the beginning of each chapter is a formula or principle, and then a problem with the answer, how to work it. And I thought how silly it is to work all the problems only to learn the formula. So I memorized it, pulled it apart, understood it, so that I could use it. Didn't bother with homework. In class I did well. In the exam I'd get my 98, 96, 100. So I'd get my C, that's a passing grade, because 1/3 was from homework, which I didn't bother with, 1/3 for class, 1/3 for the exam. But it was primarily because of that I learned that which was never taught in any elementary school, high school, college, or seminary. Not a one of you were taught 2 principles. Yet every man, woman, and child should learn and apply them. How do I know they're never taught? Because they're never taught. Plus the fact that I've spoken to large audiences, 27,000. I've spoken to small audiences of professionals. I first started out offering $1,000 to everybody in the audience who could give me the name of one professor or one teacher or who himself were taught these 2 principles, how to apply it. No takers. Then I offered $3,000, no takers. Then I offered $5,000, no takers. Then I offered $10,000, no takers. And in 1982 and 83, on 2 occasions, I offered $100,000 to everyone in the audience to give me the name of one professor or one teacher or who himself has taught these 2 principles and how to apply them at any elementary school, high school, or college, except where I had taught the teacher, because I'll get into that, or the teacher I taught had trained someone else. No takers. What are the 2 principles that were never taught? One, how to recognize, relate, assimilate, and apply principles from what you see, hear, read, think, learn, experience, and from other disciplines, so as to achieve any goal whatsoever that doesn't violate universal law, the law of God and the rights of your fellow man. Now, what does that mean? That means doing the impossible in the minds of others. there were thousands that knew it was impossible for Americans to fly to the moon, walk on the moon, and come back. Every short period of time you read where the impossible is being achieved in the minds of others. The other is how to use your human computer, your brain and nervous system. With an electronic computer, you feed it information, as you know, step by step by step by step. When it's set, you can work out a complicated problem in a short space of time, but you never get out of that computer more than you put into it. And so it is with you, the human computer. When you come to a decision, or when you take action, it's by virtue of your previous experience in thought, action, reaction, habits of thought and action, goal setting, experiences in achieving those goals, and in the chronological years from babyhood up, how you respond to that which you inherited from the past, particularly on emotions, feelings, instincts, moods, tendencies, etc. That's why it's unfortunate that educators, clergymen, and successful persons, many of them have had closed minds. It's unfortunate. In other words, often a successful person is so successful in his particular discipline that when you bring up something, he knows it's not true or what have you. It pays to keep an open mind. Now, you tonight, if you are ready, can learn how to use that human computer so you too can achieve any goal whatsoever. Doesn't make any difference what it is. However, you have to pay a price, not in dollars and cents. Doesn't cost a thing. What is the price? Time. If any one of you should have a big goal, an impossible goal in the minds of others, or any high goal, and if you choose to have a notebook and write down whatever heading you want, how to achieve any goal in life I might desire, or any goal that doesn't violate universal law, and then you write down the goal, whatever it may be, and every day for a half an hour, and for young people, children, maybe 10, 15 minutes, just sit and think. Concentrate. The subconscious will come up with answers that might work. You write that down. Also, that which may be difficult or might interfere with your achieving it, you then write a note on that. And then through repetition, 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 the subconscious will come up with the answer. Illustration. It's by association of ideas. I'm willing to experiment with you. I will mention one word, W-R-D, if you're willing to cooperate and yell out the first word that enters your mind without thinking. How many are willing to do it? Well, there's not enough, so. Oh, well, let's try it again. How many are willing to do it? Raise both hands. Okay. Ready? Bread. Now, the reason you said butter is through association of ideas, because in America here you've had bread and butter. Over in Liberia in Africa, where I am working as a representative of the President of the United States, with the head of state over there and his cabinet, I had the cabinet members lined up at a table that was longer than this platform here, and about, 3.5, 4 feet wide, My staff and I were on one side, they were on the other. And they yelled out, eat, E-A-T. Why? Because there were days as kids they didn't eat. In other words, it will either be the pleasant things that come to your mind or the unpleasant. It's the input that you have. That's why we are training persons to recognize that it is absolutely impossible to conceive how far up is. There isn't a one of you can do it, except in the limitation of your own mind. You know, a lot of businessmen think they're doing pretty good, but they don't realize that when they've reached a plateau, there's a higher and a higher and a higher. That's why it pays to put the big goal, if you're planning, the one in the distance, and then work to it year by year, where many organizations have a 3-year plan.
This program is continued on the opposite side.